Hi, I'm Gallago, and this evening I'm going to take you on a brief tour through Sun, starting off with the drums. So, the most unusual thing in these drums, I'd say, is probably the shaker. I think this came from a recording that I took in South Africa of rain basically falling into leaves. I love using rain for drums and hats, especially because I find that they're really harmonically rich. The rest of the drums, I think, the thing I used the most was just loads and loads of echoes and delays and various perks. So for example, there's this, it's a nice tom, cowbell, until it all eventually sounds like this. So next up we've got the atmosphere. First one I'm going to show you is a recording of wind. You probably won't notice it in the background because it's sort of disguised there, but it's the kind of sound where if you take it out you'll notice that it's missing. Yeah, I took this recording in Wales. I've got it filtered down and then slowly panning around. This bit is in the breakdown. The other sound that I really like in the atmosphere is actually birds. What I did to these birds was I slowed them down and then added loads of reverb and a weird delay. Just makes them sound a bit spooky. Next up, I actually quite like this sound. This is a bass sound that I think I made in FM8, put a massive reverb onto it. Talking about reverbs, I love Valhalla Room. It's by far my favourite reverb. You can basically just take a sound, put the decay up to anywhere up to 100 seconds, instant ambience. It's beautiful. Another thing that I love doing is basically recording the reverb on a sound, bouncing that down, then reversing it, so then it feels like you've got the sound coming from loads of space and that just goes forward into one focal point, like with this sound. It's like it's rushing towards you. Next up, we've got the pianos. This was done in Contact, using the Giant, my favourite piano VST. Then the other piano bit, which I laid over it, I think I used the grand piano in Ableton. So by itself it sounds a bit harsh, but when it's mixed in, sort of really beefs it up. The two of them combined just ends up sounding like it does in the track. Then I've also got some strings in the background, so what I do with these strings, just have them running all the way through the track, like slowly bring them in and out. And yeah, I use session strings in Contact for these. They fill out the mid-range as well. So up next we have vocals. Now I can't show you the individual parts for this because I bounced on all the effects and all the different vocals onto one stem. And there's a very good reason for doing this. The reason that tracks don't get finished is because you're never quite satisfied with a part. What happens is you spend so much time listening to this one loop and so much time not being able to make decisions, a track starts to go stale. And once you've got something that you are relatively happy with, bounce it and make sure that you can't go back to it. It's basically just so that I then have to move forward from that point. These vocals, what I did was I basically recorded a lead vocal. Once I was happy with the take, I basically then spent time doubling over on that take. I then take the two best takes of those takes and put them next to the first take. Loads of takes. Time it runs away. Yeah, if you listen to the vocals, you'll hear all the delays going around and how I've doubled them up. What I tend to do is I tend to wash out and affect the doubled layers. So next up we've got the bass sound. There's two main bass sounds in this. There's the sub bass, which is actually a reese. A reese is a very simple concept. It's been around for decades now. That's basically where you take two sine waves and detune one of them, but they start to beat. It's nice and dirty. So with this I actually start off with a square. Then I detuned a sine wave, so it has a movement, nice and wavy, and then added an octave higher just for good measure. Then just added some sidechaining for good measure to keep it in check. The last sound we've got here is the stabby bass. The only interesting thing about this is just the delays that I put it through, because it's really just two square waves and a sine wave. So it just moves all around you. Quite inspired by old disco basically. That concludes my walkthrough of Sun. Feel free to shoot any questions over to Facebook if you have them. I'll do my best to answer them.